What's up, everyone? It's crunch time. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich, joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got a big weekend of sports. There was UFC in the middle of the night. There's college football all day. We got NBA coming up right now. We got a huge NHL slate for a Saturday. We got a whole lot going on, and that doesn't even count that it is football Sunday tomorrow morning. First up, I got my guy, Will Priester. How you doing today, Will?
I'm doing good, brother. Glad to come on, talk with you. Obviously, another interesting slate, and hopefully we can help people make a little money along the way and stack up those pockets before a beautiful NFL slate comes up tomorrow on Sunday.
Tim, I've seen you in the college football Discord today. I know you're probably playing some NHL tonight, doing the NBA show, and that's all before you're back bright and early for Grinders Live tomorrow. How you doing this weekend? How are the teams looking?
Yeah, well, my state where I live can't decide whether or not they want to allow college football to be legal or not. So this week they decided it was illegal for me to play. The prior week it was legal. The week before that it was illegal. So I don't really know what's going on, but I was unable to submit any lineups today due to the fact that it's prohibited in my state today. So I don't really know what's going on with that. Wasn't able to play any college football. Oh, yeah. So Mr. Richard in chat said he played. So I don't really know what's going on with DK saying that it's restricted in my area. But yeah, so unable to play. But I am playing NHL tonight, and obviously I am playing NBA as well.
Tough day not to play Kansas's running back as he just got his third touchdown and is up to 45 plus fantasy points today. Unfortunately,
who?
Kansas's running back, Neil.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He's having a big day, but he's on my Gary Green stack, which isn't going well. So looking like I had some nice plays, but not in any of the right combos for college football. Hopefully we can get it right for NBA tonight. We got a 6-game slate, all spread out throughout the night. First game is at 7. Last game is not until 10:30. It's a decent little slate, though. Tim, I'll throw it to you for this. What do you think of this 6-game slate we got?
I think it's really good. I think it's got some challenges for cash games and for GPPs. Definitely a lot of different ways you can go in GPPs. I ran Sims for both FanDuel and DraftKings. I ran Optimals for both as well. Definitely giving us different paths. I think in different ways. A lot of like high ceiling players at low ownership tonight. So I think there's really, and of course, for my cash game guys, it's pretty tough for like, what do we do with Giannis? Like, what do we do with these spend up options? I think it's pretty tough tonight because I don't think that we have like any like really, really like screaming amazing value. So like figuring out what we want to do at the high end in cash games and GPPs, I think is the most challenging part of this slate.
Yeah, from a cash perspective, I don't know if I'd want to go any more expensive than even like LaMelo Ball tonight. I think that might be my biggest spend up just because I think the mid-range looks a lot cleaner. Chief, how about you? What's your first early observation on tonight's slate?
I think the mid-range-ish is really juicy, which kind of speaks to this slate. I do think there are a couple value pieces. I think some of them aren't necessarily transferable. Like, I'm just throwing this out there, not that you should or should not, but like Cody Martin's a little bit more valuable on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel. Not that he's unplayable there. I do think he's playable on FanDuel, but I'm saying like some of those types of discrepancies will be available to us. Kind of a juicy game, I think, between Memphis and Chicago. But generally speaking, I feel like the 6 to 7K range is kind of where the money's going to be made tonight. If you nail the players that kind of pop from there, I think you'll have a shot to win it at the end.
All right, I like it. Let's start going game by game here. We'll go through the 6 games individually. After that, we will go and kind of hammer home the cash game staples on both FanDuel and DraftKings. We'll finish off with some QQs leading us all the way up to lock. I see we already got an active chat today. That's great. Make sure you're also smashing that like button if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit the notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our great content. We got a big block of shows coming for you tomorrow. So make sure you catch all of those. Smash that like button, help us out. And let's start off with Detroit and Orlando. Maybe the ugliest game on the slate. I think there's a couple of viable players from each team here, but yeesh, this one does not look very pretty. No Cade Cunningham in this one. Tim, I'll throw it to you. What do you think about the Detroit side of things in this Detroit and Orlando game?
Yeah, definitely pretty interesting that we are going to have some interest in this game, especially due to the fact that Cade is out. But this game does have a 207 implied total, which is 17 points lower than the next game. So it's kind of weird to want to have exposure to this game. But I think Jaden Ivey is certainly interesting. I ran a court IQ without Cade Cunningham on the court, and in 165 minutes. Jaden Ivey's usage goes up about 7%. So I think at 6,700 point guard, shooting guard, I think that's fine. I think he's a pretty strong GPP play. I think that, obviously Goga on the other side with Wendell Carter out, I think he's completely fine. He's fine in cash games and GPPs. And then what to say about Franz Wagner, right? I mean, this guy is just like lighting it up day in and day out. And I know this isn't really like the most amazing matchup, but I don't think people are going to click his name that much. Like we're currently showing like 14%. And I think at 9,300, I think you can still keep going back to him in GPPs.
Yeah, Franz Wagner is somebody that looks really well. I think the way that I want to play this game is if I'm playing Wagner, that's where I'm looking at. If I do want to play a Harris and Ivy of Beasley, it's in a lineup that I'm playing Wagner because if those guys keep it close, those guys can push each other. But on the Detroit side of things, I don't think I'd want to play any of them unless I'm playing Wagner on the other side, or even like a Goga Batatse on DraftKings, maybe not FanDuel, but on DraftKings where he's cheaper. Because if the Detroit guys are failing, it's probably because they have 78 points as a team. Will, what do you like in this Detroit Orlando game?
So I'm with you on Ivy. I wrote up Ivy today. I think with that type of usage, like you just have to consider it right now. We do know Orlando's defense has been good, but I think Ivy's big time in play. I really don't hate Malik Beasley either. He's not crazy expensive. And I mean, he's a guy that's going to get his shots up. Like, I think he can get to 35 fantasy points if everything broke his way. And I think that's fine. I mean, he's 5,200 on DraftKings, 5,100 on FanDuel. So I like him. I think he's fine. On the other side, man, I've been waiting for another Jalen Suggs, like just 40, 50-point game. Looks like it's not coming, but the price is coming down. So I think, for tournaments, he's good. Totally agree with you, Tim, on Franz, where 9,300 feels like a hop-off spot probably to most people. But, I mean, he's the primary guy for any type of production right now. So at 9,300, I'm totally in. And then go get 5K on DraftKings. That's a great price for him and a great person to roster with Wendell Carter Jr. out. I think those are great options.
Goga right now is currently on my cash game team and my single entry team. So I'm going with Goga tonight.
Yeah. Portland and Houston, the next game is a little another one that should be a little bit ugly, but I have a lot of interest in this one. Portland missing some key pieces. Houston just getting an absolutely great matchup as long as this one stays somewhat close. Denny Avdia is projecting like a big value play on both sides. He's looking like he's going to be almost 50% owned on FanDuel. Alperen Şengün is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. Will, we'll go to you first for this one. What are you prioritizing in Portland and Houston?
So, I mean, in terms of the Portland-Houston game, I feel like I'm more interested in the Houston side than the Portland side. I like Van Vliet a ton at 7,300 on DraftKings. Jalen Green is 6,600. I know he's had this weird injury thing, but I mean, he's 6,600. I mean, he's got upside for 50. And let me make this clear. I don't think this is a spot where you play like Van Vliet, Jalen Green, and Şengün together. I think you kind of separate them some, maybe no more than two. I wouldn't play more than two Houston players, but I do think, they've all got upside. I mean, even Dylan Brooks at 3,700 on DraftKings, I think that's reasonable considering the spot. So any of you guys from Houston, Jabari Smith, I like him. So once again, I just think the spot here is very interesting for them. I don't think I'd play more than two of them in one lineup. On the other side with Portland, God, man, I'm fine with Klingon. I'm fine with Abdia. Obviously, no Robert Williams. You feel like Klingon will have, mostly stable minutes tonight. I'm okay with it. But I'm not thrilled about just running rostering guys from Portland. So, Abdia's fine. Klingon's fine. Kamara's fine. I just think everybody's fine. But I do like the Houston side a lot more.
I love the Houston side of this game as well, especially on DraftKings. I'm just getting to a ton of them, and all of them. Şengün's one of my highest owned players. I like Van Vliet and Green. I like Eason. I like MN Thompson. I like Jabari Smith at 4,500 on DraftKings. I like Dylan Brooks at 3,700 on DraftKings. I like this whole team, Tim. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, Houston's coming up fourth most for me in the sims that I ran before the show. Definitely, I think Houston's a really, really strong play. I wonder how many people are going to like chase Dylan Brooks' game though, right? Like yesterday, he went absolutely berserk. I wonder if people are going to go back to him. I don't know. So anyway, like if Dylan Brooks got steamed, I wouldn't want to have him, but if he stays like in that 15% and below range at 3,700, I'd be fine with that. But if you think he's going to get steamed, I'm not too crazy. Love the Şengün call. 21% currently. It's looking like 8,900. I'm fine with that. I have some interest. I obviously have some interest in Atvia. I do have some interest in Klingon also at 4,700. I mean, he should be in line for pretty significant minutes. He's pretty cheap. At least for GPPs, I think he'd be a reasonable pivot off of Goga, who's going to be a higher owned than him. It's right around the same price tag. So I think he's okay. And then aren't we still waiting on Grant news as well, TJ?
Yes, I believe we are still waiting on Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, so I mean that would open up even more opportunities for some of these Portland pieces because currently, right now, they're not simming that well. But I have to wonder if Grant were to sit, if that would kind of change the way that this team is simming, because I do think that would open up quite a bit for some of these other guys, like a Sharp, a Simons, and even more of a chance for Atvia.
All right. I got somebody in Jordan chat says I said I was going to be underweight on Şengün in my expert survey. Either I wrote it wrong or they read it wrong, because I meant to put Şengün as my most overweight player on the expert survey today. I wrote him up as my favorite player overall. So that was definitely intended to be the most overweight player. But let's pivot over to the next game here. We got Charlotte. We got Milwaukee. For what it's worth, that Jeremy Grant news we should have before lock. This game is one of the, I hope, with this being an 8 o'clock one, we may not, but if we don't, I think it's worth, and we'll get there as we get later to lock, but I think it's worth talking about the strategy of maybe just Xing the Detroit and Orlando game and waiting for news and waiting for starting lineups with this big slew of 8 o'clock games, and one 8:30 game before the next one 2 hours later. I think it might be viable to get that a little bit extra time. Let's look at Memphis and Chicago. This is probably the most interesting game on the slate. 124.5 total for Memphis. It's the biggest on the board. Chicago plays the fastest of any team in basketball. Tim, let's start with you. Memphis, Chicago, what are you doing here? Who's priority one?
Priority one is easily Desmond Bane. He's 7,100. He's priority on FanDuel as well. He's popping in optimals. He's popping in sims on both FanDuel and DraftKings. So Desmond Bane is definitely the priority number one. I don't mind Jaren Jackson either. I mean, 7,800. I think that's completely fine. I think he's a reasonable play. Scottie Pippen Jr. on FanDuel is really, really good value. he's a little bit too expensive on DK. I think he would stay out of my pool on DraftKings, even in larger field. But on FanDuel, Scottie Pippen, I think, is a tremendously strong play. Same thing with Brandon Clark on FanDuel, because on FanDuel, he does have that power forward eligibility as well. So Brandon Clark on FanDuel is a really exceptional play. I think he's decent on DK, but I just hate wasting a center spot on someone that I don't think has that huge of a ceiling. So he'd probably stay out of my pool on DK. Yeah, so that would do it for me on the Memphis side.
Will, how about you? We got, in theory, a bunch of guys should be projecting for really great, but they only have 2 players that they're willing to play over 30 minutes on this Memphis team. I will say Scottie Pippen at 5,400 on FanDuel specifically, probably the best value play on the slate, but much more expensive on DraftKings. What do you like on the Memphis side?
Yeah, man, I think it's Desmond Bain, it's Jaren Jackson. Don't hate Brandon Clark. I wish he was getting more minutes, but but Bain is the guy, and I think that's the obvious play, and it's also the right play. So I don't think we need to outsmart ourselves. He is going to pick up some ownership, but I mean, man, he's going to have it's going to be green light all day when he's in the game. So give me Desmond Bain, and it's obvious, and I don't care.
What about these Chicago guys on the other side?
So I just like this game in general. So I do think for me, I think this is a spot where you're maybe playing 2 from one team, 1 from the other, something like that. We saw AO have a nice game last night. Should be able to put together something similar here as, they're facing Memphis. And I know you said Chicago playing at a really high pace. So is Memphis. Like both teams are, I think, top 10 in pace. So, just like this game in general. I do think Levine is a better play on FanDuel than DraftKings. So he's a little cheaper on FanDuel. He's 7,900 on DK. I think that's actually a little bit too close for comfort for me. But on FanDuel, I'm still okay with Levine. Kobe White, I think, has a little meat on the bone on DraftKings. Vucevic, I think, is fine also at 8,300. I do think it's close, but generally speaking, I think for me, if I was kind of constructing this thing on DraftKings only, I'd probably have Bain, Jaren Jackson, and then AO or Kobe White on the other side. So that's where I am.
All right, Tim, did you get your thoughts out on the Chicago side of things?
No, it's Levine. Levine's a much stronger play on FanDuel than he is DK. Just a better value over there. Definitely getting to a lot of Ayo Dosunmu on DK, and I'm getting to more Josh Giddey than I thought I would. Looking at Sims, but I think Josh Giddey is a really, really strong GPP play. Getting around 15% of Vucevic in Sims also. So I think Vucevic is great for GPPs, but I think really in terms of like value, it's really just Ayo for me. So he would be the only one, at least on DraftKings, that I would consider in cash games. And then I think you can get to Levine in cash games on FanDuel.
For tournaments, I really like getting to some Kobe White in the spot. Nobody ever wants to play him. Sub 5% ownership, and the floor is low, but he's got a ceiling, and he just showed it in the last game. I like getting to some Kobe White because nobody ever else really wants to play him at all. Charlotte and Milwaukee. Charlotte is a team with some of the most value on their slate. They're projecting for a ton of ownership, probably going to be the highest owned team on the entire slate. Tim, I'll start with you for this one. Who do you like on your Charlotte Hornets?
Thank you, TJ. I get to lead it in with the hometown. Moussa Diabate on DraftKings, obviously at 4,400. I think it's a really good play. Grant Williams at 5K, I think it's fantastic. I'm probably a lot lower on Brandon Miller than the projections are, so not necessarily rushing to get Brandon Miller in any lineups. And Josh Green, too, he's just kind of a low output guy, but LaMelo Ball at 9,600. I was actually shocked LaMelo was still picking up this much ownership, even at that price today against Milwaukee, but the ownership's there, but I do like him. Cody Martin's 3,900 on DraftKings. I think that's a really good price for him. Obviously he'll be involved, could play 30 minutes. Not saying he's going to, but he could. So I do like him also. And then on the never mind, you didn't ask me about the Bucks, but for the Hornets, I think all the plays are. What's that?
Feel free to lead right into the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Hornets are the right play, but then you go to the Bucks. Obviously Giannis is expensive, should have a really good game here, but so should Damian Lillard at 9,100. He's not going to pick up much ownership tonight. So if you're asking me who I'd like to play, obviously Dame, obviously Giannis. I think Bobby Portis could have some upside here. I wish he was a little cheaper. I wish Bobby was like 5,500, but I still think at 5,800, this is a spot where he could pop also.
Tim, how about you? We got the Bucks. We got Charlotte. You're going to be under or overweight on the Charlotte chalk, and if you're playing them, are you running them back with any Bucks?
Yeah, definitely going to be overweight the Charlotte stuff. LaMelo Ball is a really, really strong cash game play, GPP play all around. Just I think one of the better plays on the entire slate. Same thing with Brandon Miller. I bet a couple props on him earlier. So I mean, I think he's just. I think Taylor Smith wrote the Coors Plays live article earlier saying like he's a true superstar in the making, and he really is. And so I think he's just a really amazing standout play as well. Definitely getting to some Grant Williams as well. His ceiling always makes me a little bit nervous, and but I think for cash or a smaller field type contest, I think Grant Williams is a really strong play. Musa Diabate at 4,400. I think he could be another pivot off of Goga. You could play them together in cash games or in GPPs. He's a rebounding machine. We just got some minutes updates due to that Chicago news, and it was looking like I don't know how to pronounce his name. Matas Buzelis is grading out as the top point per dollar play now. He's the Stone Min. I'm going to have to look at some new optimals to see if I'm going to be interested with him in cash games, but he is somebody that we have to consider now.
Well, there you go. Going to be throwing him into the pool, and I'll make a new set of builds right now. Tim, feel free to take us over to the next game that we got. We got Golden State and San Antonio. After this, we will go through the position by position, look at some cash game stuff, see how the projections adjust, and then we will take some questions as well. Go to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat first. Then I'll go to the YouTube chat. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Tim, who do you like in Golden State and San Antonio? On the surface, doesn't seem overly fantasy friendly, but it's got a big total and a close spread.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid point, but I mean outside of Curry, Wiggins, and Draymond, this team just is such a big rotation. So it's just like I don't really. I mean, if I was playing 150, I would definitely get to a sprinkle of Curry, a sprinkle of Wiggins, maybe. Trace Jackson Davis is cheap enough that I guess he can be in the pool, but there's definitely some cheaper centers that I like more. So really, outside of a real MME portfolio of teams, I'm out on Golden State. San Antonio, I mean Castle, I guess at 5,300 would be an okay play. But I don't think I'd get to any Wemby tonight. As scary as that sounds, I really don't have much interest in the San Antonio team. So I mean this game, I kind of thought that maybe I have some interest, but the way the pricing came out and kind of how the news came out, I'm not really that interested in this game at all.
Will, how about you? Stephon Castle, the only player on either team picking up any type of ownership. You want to get overweight to this in tournaments?
Not the game, maybe a little bit extra Curry, but look, this Golden State rotation situation is real. Like, Steve Kerr is not trying to play anybody 35, 36, 38 minutes. So I'm fine with Curry because obviously we know he's got upside to break any slate, or not break a slate, but get you there in tournaments. Like he could put up 60 fantasy points tonight. But generally speaking, I'm just not really into this game. So pretty much a scratch off for me outside of Curry.
All right, let's go. The last game of the night, Denver and the Lakers. Another one with a close spread. This is probably going to be the most exciting one to watch on TV. We got Jokic back, just had a new baby. We got LeBron and AD both playing for the Lakers. Will, of LeBron, AD, and Jokic, who's the priority spend up in this game?
Man, it's so close because, like, Jokic basically just walked off the street last night. And, I mean, he put up 33, 17, and 10. Like, that's basically what he did. And listen, he's an NBA player, so, like, clearly he didn't go, to celebrate the birth of his child and then just suddenly, like, fall out of shape. But still, like, he wasn't around the team. He wasn't running around. Like, he walked off the street last night. And, oh, man, unbelievable. So, if you're asking me who the priority is, it's Jokic. I think the next priority would be Anthony Davis. Now, look, AD is cheap enough for sure. And LeBron is too. But LeBron's, in my opinion, outside of that stretch, and I know LeBron had a stretch where it's pretty much 60-plus fantasy points, almost every game, but Jokic still has so much upside, man, because he's going to hit all the category boxes. So even though he's the most expensive, I think he's still, if you got to play one, it's him.
Tim, how about you? What do you like in Denver and the Lakers?
Yeah, Jokic is obviously the priority for GPPs. I don't know if I can quite get there in cash games. That would definitely force you onto some what I would consider maybe not amazing value. So he's just the GPP play only for me. The rest of the Nuggets, I'm really not interested in because they're kind of priced up for when Jokic was out. So I really don't have much interest at all in the Nuggets. And then I think Will summed it up pretty well here with the Lakers. It's LeBron and it's AD. Obviously, there's $1,000 difference with them on DK, but I think that I don't know. I think I would lean on LeBron side over the AD side just because there's other plays that I want to play in the center slot.
Will, are you getting any of these cheaper Lakers in tournaments? Dalton Connect's been playing some good basketball, and you have D'Angelo Russell all the way down to 4,300 on DraftKings.
I mean, I don't hate it. The problem is, like, so D'Angelo Russell doesn't have to do much. Like, I get it. I think he's someone I would definitely play tonight. And Connect is fine. It's just, and his minutes seem stable today, but like he's 5,400 now. And yeah, he's popped for some 40-point games. Like, I get it, but he's still a rookie. So like, it's going to be a roller coaster with him probably every game until he settles in. So that's where I'm with the Lakers. And if I didn't answer your question, let me answer it more clearly. It's AD, it's LeBron. I'd probably play Russell over Connect despite the limited minutes. But I'm not really thrilled about these cheap Lakers.
All right. Well, it's the reason I ask is just because there's not a lot of value on this slate. And DFS, it's all about value. This is the busiest time in the sports calendar, which means it's the perfect time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium for a limited time. Get your first month of combo access for just $79.99. That's just $5 more than NBA Premium. Don't pass up this great value. Let's pivot from Lineup HQ to SimLabs. Let's look at some of the most optimal plays on this slate and talk a little bit about cash games. So what we'll do is, Tim, I'll throw it to you for the cash options on both sites. And then Will, feel free to chime in if there's any of these positions where there's a big differential on FanDuel and DraftKings that you really want to point out for tournaments. But let's start at the point guard position. LaMelo Ball looking to me, Tim, like the guy that I want to be getting to in cash.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely playing LaMelo Ball in cash games today. It's not even really that much of a decision. Doesn't matter if you want to play Buzelis or not. whatever build you go with, you should be starting off with LaMelo Ball and cash games. There's no doubt about it.
Who else are you considering at the point guard position? FanDuel, you obviously got to play two. DraftKings, it is typically one of the strongest positions anyways. I mean, on FanDuel, you're playing Pippen and Ball and you're moving on, no?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely playing those two at point guard. Pippen is a really, really, really standout value on FanDuel.
All right. Will, any other point guards that stand out for you at tournaments that you want to touch on?
No one that we haven't talked about already.
All right, let's go over to the shooting guard position. Desmond Bane, another must-have in cash, I think. What about Brandon Miller and Zach LaVine, Tim? Those guys you feel like are must-plays in cash?
Well, you're absolutely right that Desmond Bane is a must-play in cash games. I think I don't think if we're talking FanDuel, I would say LaVine. I would take LaVine over Miller. But I think that it's really, really close, right? So it is close. I wouldn't fault anybody if they wanted to go different. But I think I'd go LaVine over Miller in cash. But yeah, you're 100% playing Bane. And then I think there's some interesting shooting guard GPP plays as well. Like I think Kobe White's pretty interesting. Jaden Ivey, Jalen Suggs, and they're all kind of priced around each other too. So like there's really, really interesting pivots that are going to go. I think super low owned. Like on FanDuel, Kobe White's going to be like 3% owned, and he's right around the same price tag as Brandon Miller and Desmond Bane. So I think he's a really, really awesome tournament play.
I think Shaedon Sharp, especially on DraftKings at 5,900, is interesting today without Scoot in there. Will, shooting guard, anybody else you like for tournaments?
I mean, I'm fine with AU. I know we kind of talked about it. Like maybe Amen Thompson can sneak in there. Like if this game gets out of control, Amen gets kind of some mop up minutes at 5K. Like I don't hate it. And I did mention Malik Beasley earlier against Orlando. I just think he's going to have so many minutes and so many shot opportunities. I know Orlando's a tough defense, but his minutes are going to be very stable today.
Didn't really expect it, but Tim Hardaway is simming well with an almost 9% optimal rate and less than half of that projecting for ownership today. Small forward position. Where do you prefer to play Bane, Tim? Shooting guard or small forward? And who else would you be prioritizing here in cash?
Yeah, so it really depends on what you want to do with Matas Buzelis. I mean, that really does matter. He's the stone min at small forward. So I'm not currently going that route. So I think you can play you can play Bane at small forward. I think it's probably, if you're not playing the min price player, then it probably is better to play him at small forward than shooting guard.
Well, how about you? How much Buzelis are you getting to? Who else do you like at small forward?
Well, I've just got to decide if I'm going to play Buzelis. I'm not running 150 tonight. My son they're playing in the state championship for football. So when I get off this show, I'm literally walking out of here, getting in my car and driving to the stadium. I think it's fine. Like if I was in 3-entry max, I'd probably have him in one of three. So I guess that's about, if you equate that would be 33%. But if I was in mass multi-entry, I probably wouldn't have him more than 20%.
Cody Martin is somebody that I'm getting to an absolute ton.
Yeah, Cody Martin, I do like a bit tonight also.
I'm underweight on most of the Charlotte Hornets except for LaMelo Ball and Cody Martin.
I do like Cody Martin quite a bit, and you should definitely don't play him at point guard though.
Yeah, save him for that small forward spot. Tim, power forward, we got another Charlotte Hornet up top in terms of optimal rate, followed by two Memphis players right beside him. Jake Larivia at the 30% optimal rate kind of threw me off here.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna change. I think once we get Buzelis into the sim, I don't think he's currently in there. Is he? Is he, TJ?
He is not yet. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yep.
I mean, I think
No, he can't be because it still says 3% optimal rate.
yeah. So I think once that updates, we'll see some different stuff. But yeah, I absolutely have no issue with Grant Williams in cash games or GPPs. I think he's better served in like a smaller field GPP because I don't think he has like the ultimate ceiling, really. Maybe in the larger field stuff, but I'm playing him right now in cash and single entry. I think he fits that kind of balanced build really well. I think that he has the ability to kind of like provide peripheral stats. He's not just a scorer. He's really not a scorer at all. He does all the other things though very well. I don't mind LeBron in cash or GPPs if you want to pay up. And then I think Giannis. When we first started the show, he was absolutely not going to be in the cash game conversation. But now that we have that little bit of Bulls value, I think that there are some ways that you can go about paying up for him instead of paying up for like LeBron, let's say.
All right, Will, how about you? Who do you like at power forward?
Well, I mean, I've kind of talked about this, this mid-range a bit. And Grant Williams is kind of the mid-range on DraftKings. I mean, he's 5K, which might not quite be there. But he's a guy that, like Jaren Jackson, definitely fits a semi-mid-range build, if you will. So I like him. On the cheaper end, I do like Jabari Smith. Probably not popping that much, but I do like him. And then, if you're getting to Buzelis, then hey, great.
All right, Tim, center position. You mentioned you're playing Goga and Cash over there. Who else do you like at the center? Who would be your cash game guy on FanDuel?
Yeah, on FanDuel, I think that you can possibly play Musa Diabate at 5,200. I think you could play Klingon at 5,200 also. I think you could still play Goga even though he's 6,100. So not as good of a price on FanDuel as he is on DK. But I think ultimately what you're doing is you're kind of living in that lower mid-range price range for cash games on FanDuel.
All right, Will, center position. Who do you like here? Then we'll start taking some questions. We still got lots of time, so get your questions in about what's for dinner tonight, about the Chiefs Suns football team playing in the state championship, about the game, whatever it is, and we'll answer them. But Will, who do you like at center?
Yeah, it's Diabate is kind of my guy on FanDuel, 5,200. I really like his price. I'm fine with Klingon. Like if you want to get to some Klingon, no problem. But if you ask me, like Diabate is my guy. Just so many injuries for Charlotte. Like I feel like his minutes are very secure.
All right, that'll do it. I did just get through my last set of lineups here for DraftKings, so this is how my percentages are looking. 30% each of Cody Martin and LaMelo Ball. They're going to be my highest owned at the point guard. Outside of that, I got a lot of these value plays that feel uncomfortable, but got to come from somewhere today. D'Angelo Russell, Shaden Sharp, Ayo Dosunmu. Shooting guard position, I love me some Amen Thompson and Desmond Bain, getting to an absolute ton of them. Decent amount of Kennard as a value play here as well. Small forward, Buzelis is my highest owned player on the slate now at 40%. I'll be honest, I know almost nothing about him, but he's minimum price and I'm on a show and he projects well, so I'm going to throw him in a bunch of lineups. Amen Thompson, who, like I mentioned, Tari Eason, I did want to get some more of. I'm not sure why I'm getting that much more Thompson than Eason, but it is what it is. That's just how it's coming out today. Power forward, love me some Jaren Jackson Jr. I like him, I think, more than Bain for tournaments today. And then Franz Wagner. Love getting to Franz Wagner today. Center position, Alperen Şengün, my favorite overall play on the slate. 39%, my second highest owned play today. Let's start taking some questions.
TJ, before you do,
it's
looking like Marcus Smart is like out officially. At least we got that in the chat. Now I didn't verify, so I'm trusting my good friend Power that that information is accurate, which I'm sure it is. And if Marcus Smart is like legitimately officially out, then now these cheap Memphis guys feel a lot better, like the Kennards, the Laravias. Those guys feel a lot better now.
Yeah, I didn't realize we weren't even projecting Smart out yet. So that's another 23 minutes to get distributed throughout the team. So those guys will start looking a lot better. Yeah, their coach said Smart's unlikely to play and Ja is officially out. So even more value on that Memphis side of things. Laravia is going to look really well, look really good. Pippen is going to maybe squeeze out a few more minutes. Bane and JJJ aren't going to get more than 32, 33 regardless, but that secures things for Huff a little bit more. It secures things for Aldama a little bit more. So maybe Conchar gets thrown in there for a couple minutes. They will still utilize a fairly big rotation here. And there it is, the official for Marcus Smart. DK GPPs, Will. They're already playing Jokic. Who do you like better, Giannis or AD?
Ooh. Man, Giannis against Charlotte, but I feel like the discount. I feel like Giannis and AD are much more comparable in terms of their production. Should be a much more competitive game between the Lakers and Denver. Give me AD.
DK Cash, Tim, Buzelis and Joker, or Goga and LeBron?
I would go Goga LeBron.
All right, going to the YouTube chat here. Like I said, get your questions in. We got lots and lots of time. What are your thoughts on Christian Brown for GPPs today, Will?
Christian Braun?
Yeah, it's pronounced Brown, but spelled Braun, yeah.
It's actually pronounced Christian Brown?
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous, but yeah.
It's Brown.
Oh my god, I feel awful.
That's just terrible spelling for that pronunciation. Like,
yeah,
Dean actually shamed me about that, so it was traumatizing for me.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I don't think it's the best value in the world mixed it, but I mean for tournaments with no ownership, fine.
Jaren Jackson or Levine? It doesn't say the format, Tim. Who do you like better straight up?
That's a tough one. They definitely both have a lot of appeal. I guess Jackson.
Someone says, who are the top plays on DK today? Well, the guys Taylor has tagged for his core plays are LaMelo Ball, Desmond Bane, and Musa Diabate, all guys we liked here on the show. I think those are all cash game must plays today. Throw in Matas, Buzelis, and those are the top value plays on the slate. You got guys like Goga and Grant Williams who are going to be some nice values.
Hold on. Listen, guys. Sorry, I know I cut you off. It's not that I didn't understand like the translation of it. I just didn't realize like they were actually pronouncing it like that. Like actually, you get what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So anyway, just want to clear that up.
Tim, I thought you answered this in chat, but what do you think of some Luke Kennard today?
Well, he definitely is more appealing now that Marcus Smart is out. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't know. I'm not going to play him in cash, but I've gotten a couple questions about him in cash as well. And I don't think I'm going to play him in cash games, but I think he's fine in GPPs.
DKGPP, Will, what do you like, Dame or Mello?
LaMelo if it's straight up. But I do like them both. I do like Dame for tournaments for sure also.
What are your thoughts on Tobias Harris today, Tim?
It's pass for me. I'm all set.
Vooch or Şengün in a DK GPP, Chief?
I think I go Vooch in this up-tempo matchup. Don't hate Şengün, but for me, I think I side with Vooch.
All right. DK, GPP, Tim, AD and Sharp, or Jokic and Io?
Jokic and Io.
All right. Back to you for Tim for this one. DK, single entry GPP, Diabate or Goga? I don't want to play both.
Don't want to play both. Okay. I think it's go Diabate.
All right. Who's your favorite PG 7,600 or under on DraftKings? Will?
Favorite GPP 76 and under on DraftKings, right?
Favorite point guard 7,600 or under. Doesn't say the format, but specifically.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's see. In my head, it's probably Jaden Ivey for me. I've been playing a lot more Jaden at point guard than shooting guard tonight, so I'm gonna go with Jaden Ivey.
All right, going to the next one, Tim. How many Grizzlies are you getting to in cash with the smart news now?
And I am refreshing my stuff since the Grizzly news. Again, I'm just making sure we're all the way up to date.
Yeah, let me just do a really, really quick refresh before I answer that question. I'm playing. So if you run optimals, you're gonna get a lot of 3 Memphis builds. I prefer 2. So you're 100% playing Bane. You're gonna do that anyway. I think Laravia is kind of interesting. It is giving out some Kennard as well, so it's pretty tough. I don't know. I would just keep it with Bane, Laravia.
All right. What do we think about Pippen with no smart? I still think he's probably overpriced and not necessarily in play on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's even better than he was before. Melo or Dame, we answered that one. ABC, Giannis or Jokic in a large field DK GPP. Will?
Jokic, man. It's Jokic for me.
Io or Westbrook, Tim? I feel like that's got to be definitely Io.
Yeah, it's Io.
Is Hardaway the best play 4K or under in DK cash? No. Buzelis is a better play, and Kennard is probably a better play. Cody Martin is a better play.
Martin's a better play. Yeah, there's a lot of better
Dylan
plays.
Brooks probably a better play. So yeah, lots of better options there. Will, what do you think about Malik Beasley on DK?
Yeah, I like him. I mean, he's a guy I've talked about all night. Like I feel like he's kind of off the beaten path, but I think the activity is going to be there.
All right. FanDuel single entry, Tim. Lillard and Buzelis or Tobias Harris and Pippen Jr.?
Well, you got to play Pippen Jr. is the problem, but I don't think you need to play Tobias. So that's kind of a tough one. I would consider maybe doing a rebuild because Pippen really should be in your single entry team, like 100%.
Yeah, he probably gets the lock button for me on FanDuel. FanDuel single entry, Will, Diabate or Klingon?
Diabate for me.
Tim, what do you think about Delano?
I'm setting my main team right now, so yeah, Diabate.
What do you think about Delano Banton in a FanDuel GPP, Will? Or sorry, I meant to go Tim for that one.
Delano Banton in a FanDuel, you said?
Yeah.
I don't really love it. I mean, we only have projected for 19 minutes. 5,400 on FanDuel. I think you can do better.
Yeah, he's a guy that can put up monster numbers in limited minutes, but I think I'd probably want Anthony Simons to also be out before I would get to him. Thoughts on Curry and Aldama in DK GPPs today, Will?
Yeah, don't mind Curry, don't mind Aldama either. GPP like them for sure.
Victor Wembanyama will have his minutes monitored Saturday per interim coach Johnson. Who knows what minutes monitored means, but he is coming back from an injury. He probably won't play too much. Edgar Fernandez wants to know, can you play Andrew Wiggins in DK Cash, Tim?
No.
Ooh,
No, definitely not. Going back to Discord here, DK Cash, Tim, Grant Williams and LeBron, or Triple J and Levine?
Which site was it, TJ?
DK.
Probably Grant LeBron.
Thoughts on Denny Avdia today on DK, Will?
Yeah, he's fine.
QQ, 3,500 left for a utility on DraftKings in a large field tournament. I'm already using Bucelis and Kennard, leaning towards Trace Jackson Davis. Do you have any other thoughts for a $3,500 utility on DraftKings? Let's all look. First one to get it wins.
I think Jackson Davis is fine.
You want to know who I think it is? It's crazy, but you want to know who I think it is?
Say Josh Green.
Duop Reef. No Robert Williams. Klingon is starting. He hasn't played very many big minutes. What if Duop Reef gets like 22 to 24 minutes at minimum price on DraftKings? I think that's very interesting for a large field thing.
Yeah.
Floor is 0.
Right.
But I think you got a really nice ceiling for a 3K player that nobody else is going to play today. FanDuel GPP will Malik Beasley or Jake LaRavia?
Give me LaRavia in this up-tempo game.
DK single entry, Tim, Jokic and Grant Williams, or Franz Wagner and Triple J?
Jokic, Grant Williams.
Moore or Buzelis? I would go Buzelis. I don't think you really want to play Moore. If I'm not mistaken, that's the guy on Detroit. Wendell Moore Jr., I'm assuming is who he's referring to. He played 21 minutes last game, had a good game, but I think you're going Buzelis in that spot. I don't think you're playing Moore unless I'm missing, and there's a different almost min price Moore, but I don't think there is. How many Grizz in FanDuel single entry is too many? 4 is probably too many, but I think you're fine with 3 on this slate.
Yeah, I have 3 currently, actually.
You're getting to a lot of Memphis and FanDuel. Like, that's where I would say go the max on Memphis and on
even
FanDuel.
4 is probably fine if we're
4 is definitely fine.
FanDuel single entry, Klingon or Diabate? Will, I know you like Diabate better. Tim, how about you? Who do you like better of those two?
So I actually have Klingon in my FanDuel single entry team, so I have to say Klingon, but it's super close between the two.
That's
DK GPP, Will, Ivy or Giddy?
Ivy for me.
Yeah, me too. Tim, you want Giannis and AD? Thoughts on Giannis, AD, Trace Jackson Davis, and Dalton Connect and GPPs? I mean, I don't love it personally, but nothing wrong with any of that. If that's an either or, Jim, let us know which side is which. DK Cash, Braun and Io, Tim, or Pippen and Wagner? Oh, that's definitely Braun and Io.
Yeah.
Best DK forward 7,200 and below. Will, while you look that up, Tim, what do you think about Dalton Connect on DraftKings?
I mean, obviously he does have a ceiling. I think we have projected for 31 minutes. I don't love it. Like, if you're only building out like a couple teams, I'd probably stay away from him. Grant is playing, by the way, for the Blazers.
Grant
it's
is
Miller or Bain for me. TJ said best forward, Miller or Bain.
Yeah, if you don't already have Bain, it's him. If you have him already, you got Brandon Miller. How many Hornets is too many Hornets for a DK single entry, Tim?
I wouldn't go more than 3. No more than 3.
All right, DKGPP 5,500 or less for the utility. Grant Williams, Goga Batadze, Connect, or someone else. Will, what do you think?
Goga Batadze. Yeah.
Yeah, Batadze would be mine too. Second choice, I think, would probably be Stephon Castle, but I like Batadze there as well. I think we're caught up on QQs. We did it, everybody. We got about 3 minutes left until lock. Any other questions? Make sure you get them in. Will, who's breaking the slate tonight?
Man, I think it's something Tim mentioned, man. It really got me thinking. And I really think this guy has a shot at some big production. Give me Franz Wagner against Detroit.
I like it. Tim, how about you? Who's breaking the slate?
I was gonna say LeBron. Yeah, I'll stick with LeBron.
I now have 4 guys from Memphis on FanDuel too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean didn't
think I would end up there, but I do have it.
Yeah, FanDuel's like it's so easy to play the 4 primary ones.
Okay, is asking Davis or LeBron. I guess you would say LeBron then, Tim. Hey,
I do prefer LeBron. Like I know that they've been running the offense a lot through AD, but I think I do like LeBron more tonight.
All right, my answer for breaking the slate today, I'm going with Alperen Şengün. I think that's going to be the slate breaking performance. Pardon me. Paul Hauser in chat says it's going to be Triple J. Shout out to Paul Hauser, aka Stingray on Cobra Kai. I don't think it's the same guy, but he's got the same name. And I just watched the new episodes of Cobra Kai that were on Netflix. You can also find the review up on agentsfandom.com. Klingon or Diabate if playing one. Will likes Diabate better. Tim likes Klingon better. Flip a coin. Yes, Power. We got Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons in and 8 and out. We got that one already. We are still waiting on Keldon Johnson. He is a game time decision. Jim Parrish wants to know, Will, Brandon Miller or Zach LaVine?
My head is telling me LaVine. My heart's going Miller. Give me Miller.
Last piece, Tim. DK Cash, Champagny or Avdia? Oh, that's got to be Avdia.
Avdia, definitely.
Şengün and Joker combo going to be low owned, right? Yeah, that's going to be a nice low owned GPP combination today, especially because a lot of people are going to be going to center for value. Do you like the idea of playing Diabate and Williams together, Will? You okay with playing your 2 Hornets in the same lineup?
Yeah.
Connect or Wiggins, Tim?
I think Connect.
Yeah, neither. But if you're using one,
yeah, that's the real answer. Yeah.
All right, that is it for questions. We are approaching unlock right now. Derek Ringering asks, is there supposed to be a season 2 of The Penguin? As of right now, there's no plans for a season 2, but the show is so well received that, I mean, if they decide to write it, they'll probably make it, but they got to have a good story for it. They're not going to do it just for the sake of it. We will see after the Batman Part 2, because that's going to be the next thing in that universe that comes out. And so we won't really know where they're going with the story until after that one. We have reached lock. We got no more questions. We'll be back tomorrow morning for some NFL content. Will and I will be on for crunch time. Tim will be starting things off bright and early at 9:30 Eastern for Grinders Live. No NBA show tomorrow, but there will be a Sunday Night Football Showdown show with Will and I in the evening as well. So we got tons of football content all day tomorrow. Make sure you stay tuned. Smash that like button on your way out of here. On behalf of myself, TJ, Will, Tim, all the RotoGrinders here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. You have been crunched.